Welcome to the Yamato Media Radio Show on 194.5 FM. I am your ever-Australian host, Jack Kerry, here to bring you the latest changes in the media landscape. Our topic of discussion today is about determining if streaming has taken over media consumption. The legacy of cinema goes back over a century to 1895, when the first film was released in theatres in Paris called Workers Leaving the Lumiere Factory. More notable milestones in the history of cinema include the first sports broadcast in 1897, also the first film to reach the 90-minute mark. The film for the longest production period was Orson Welles' final work, which was released 48 years after it started production in 2018. However, it wasn't released in cinemas, but on Netflix. This actually gives us a nice segue into the other side of this show, streaming services. Streaming is defined as a method of transmitting or receiving data, especially video and audio material. We will now pass it over to the public to get their opinions on the state of cinema and streaming services, starting with if they think that streaming services have taken over the role of cinemas in our modern world.
I think it's just the subscription to everything. If you own something forever, then that's more money that they can't make off you. So, they figured out how to charge everybody in tiny little increments.
Oh, interesting. Not completely, certainly, yeah. I mean, they're obviously the big players on Netflix, etc., Amazon and what have you, and that's definitely had an effect on cinema attendance, for example. Now, also, remember, we went through the epidemic, so people couldn't go to the cinema and stuff, and that absolutely, Netflix and Amazon sort of rose from that, you know, the people just started paying more to view those services because that's what we could view.
During the years of the pandemic, Amazon Prime would go from $19.21 billion in profits in 2019 to $35.22 billion in 2022. Netflix would have a similar profit jump from $20.15 billion in 2019 to $31.61 billion at the end of 2022. Following on from that, we then asked how the experience of watching a film on a streaming service compares to one in the cinema.
Most movies in the cinema don't even screen on film anymore. There's less of a reason to go to the cinema other than for the size of the screen.
I think 90% it's still better. I tend to find when I watch even bad films at the cinema, I enjoy them.
Well, as you can hear from the people that we asked, their opinions on the cinema versus streaming debate are rather divided, as they see the pros and cons for both forms of media consumption. Once again, I would like to thank you for listening to Yamato Media Radio on 194.5 FM. I have been your host. Check out our Instagram and YouTube, and good night.